Hi John, I'm Kirby.
Hello, Kirby.
It's lovely to finally meet you because I talked to you on the phone about a week ago, was it?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Yeah. So before we start, I just want to let you know that we have very, very strict confidentiality rules. Are you aware of what any of that means?
Yeah, well, I have been worried, I want to make sure everything we talk about is, stays, it's one of the big issues that I've got with this.
Yep.
I want to make sure everything we talk about is private.
Yep. So that's exactly what will happen. So with confidentiality and within this clinic, anything that we talk about stays between you and me. All information is stored under lock and key, and I'm the only person that has access to that. Through some sessions I will write notes, but that's only for myself, so when we go into next sessions I know what we've talked about. There's a few exceptions to the rule, so if you tell me that you are going to hurt yourself, hurt someone else, or break the law, then I will need to tell someone else.
Okay.
Does that sound pretty?
Yeah, that sounds
pretty fair. So no one else can hear this conversation. We've got the door, it's locked. No one can see in. So this conversation is strictly between you and me. So I hope that can make you feel a little bit more at ease and a little bit more confident in what we're about to talk about. Because it is really tough sometimes to have a conversation with a complete stranger. So what brings you here today? What did you want to talk about?
So I've been, I lost my partner Paul.
Yep.
Recently, and I just, struggling to cope with everything that goes with that, and I've still been, I've been working because, I haven't, it's my relationship with Paul and my choice of relationship is not something I've shared with anyone at work, and I guess I'm just having a lot of trouble concentrating, and without even realising I've been making, mistakes that I normally would not make, and I've had, sort of a bit of a management review lately, and it's just really difficult because I feel like I'm copying this, flack about something that I would probably have more support about, but I just feel like I can't share what's going on in my life, and why I'm really, it's a real battle at work, and like I said, worked there for a long time, these aren't normal mistakes for me, and it's like I haven't even realised that, I've made them.
So, just so I'm clear, the biggest issue for being here today is the fact that your workmanship hasn't been as good as what it normally is in the past, and that you're just struggling with work.
I work, and I guess, the reasons, what's going on in my private life.
And you believe that the loss of Paul is therefore affecting how you're working?
I think it must be, because I feel like, what's happening to me is out of the ordinary. Or what wasn't normal before.
Okay. So with work, are they aware of the loss of Paul?
No. So, I know at work knows about my, the death of my partner, that, I was in a same-sex relationship. So I took some days off work to be with him while he was in hospital. And then since I've gone back to work.
Okay, so how can you, tell me how you're feeling at the moment about about losing Paul?
So it's sort of, I guess in some ways it's, I wasn't open to people at work, and so, I understand why it's not their fault that no one's sort of supporting me because they don't know what I'm going through, but I guess it's also because I don't have support from my parents or his parents, so I sort of feel like I'm dealing with a big situation, sort of hiding it on one sense from work, and then not having support on the other hand as well by my family.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit more about Paul.
Yeah, so Paul and I were in a relationship for 5 years.
Yep.
Paul had HIV,
Yep.
which then obviously turned into AIDS. So he got really unwell and passed away last month.
Mm-hmm.
His family is in England. As far as I'm aware, they don't know that Paul was in a same-sex relationship. My parents are very unsupportive. They've even sort of questioned me about whether or not Paul's passed his condition, his HIV, on to me, and they're sort of more concerned, about aspects around his disease rather than the fact that I've lost my partner. My sister's supportive, but she doesn't live in the same state as me, so it's sort of, she's not in the situation with like my parents, but she's not a direct support person that's here.
Do you find it to be, like, what are the sort of the feelings that you're getting, how your parents feel? Is it disappointment? Is it anger?
Yeah, well, I suppose this day and age, if it had been not my partner Paul, if it had been my wife Liz that died from, not from AIDS, from, a car accident or something like that, then, I would have all the support in the world, and it would be a lot of sympathy and empathy, and but I guess we found it really hard in society to be open about our relationship, so we just never were, and so we found it easier just to continue living as we were living. And I suppose the same thing happened at my work. The conversation never came up, so then it just found like it was too hard to have that conversation, and was never an issue until, this sort of has happened what's happened. And again at work, if it had been my wife Liz that died from, a tragic car accident, then I would have grief counselling, I would have support, I would have very understanding colleagues, managers, probably have been given time off work. And look, I don't work, at work I do love my job, and I do work with really, really good people. They just, I'm in that situation where they just don't know what's going on in my life, and I just don't want them to know. Paul was really private, and obviously he wasn't proud of having AIDS. No one is. That was a condition that's sort of very well managed these days, and unfortunately for him, he lost his life, and I guess I'm just struggling to pick up the pieces.
So this, have you ever heard of the term disenfranchised grief? No. So what that means is it's a type of grief that it's sort of socially unacceptable grief. So it's similar to what you're going through and what you've just told me. If it had been your wife, things would have been a lot different. You would have had a whole lot more support. So it basically means that because you're in a gay relationship, you're not getting the same amount of support that you need at this time. Like, it's almost like a lot of people just don't think that you're equal, you're the same value. Do you think that that's sort of the feelings that you're getting at the moment?
Particularly from my parents. Again, if it had been my sister and her husband, they wouldn't be, they would have been supporting her and doing everything they could, not sort of telling her to go and get herself checked because she might have AIDS as well, and, to steer clear, kind of thing. Same at work, and again, it's not like I was ashamed of Paul. We just sort of, I guess it was more him, I suppose. He felt very self-conscious about having the disease. He'd never told his parents. that he was gay. As far as I know, you know, they still don't know. So that makes it really hard because I sort of, we have this, you know, long-term relationship that's almost like two people that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what you're describing is absolutely what disenfranchised. Yeah, and it just makes it so much harder for you to work through the grief, and also, you know, keep Paul's memory alive. Like, I don't know, do you feel like it's just been totally swept under the
In a lot of ways, you know, like here I am turning up at work, walking through the door like I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah.
And I've got this huge cloud over me.
Yep.
Trying to, you know, work, but then people not knowing what's going on. And you know, I guess in some ways I kind of do want them to know because then they'll, you know, sort of have an understanding. But I also want to respect Paul as well, and I know that he, you know, he didn't want anyone to know about his disease.
Yeah.
It was very private for him. It was a private matter for us. You know, we coped with it very well. So yeah, I guess too, because, you know, when I told my parents about it, and Paul having HIV, and they were very unsupportive of me in that situation. They did not want me to be with Paul. They didn't want to hear the ins and outs of it. They just were because of that one thing, they just, I guess, put a banner on him that he's, you know, someone that you shouldn't be in a relationship with.
So, I mean, when you came in here, you were concerned about sort of work and the level of work that you were producing. So, I'm not sure. You tell me. But I mean, one suggestion there could be: is there a way that you can talk to your boss? I know you don't want to talk about your relationship with Paul, but is there a way that you could simply put, you know, I've suffered a great loss and of recent. You know, is there a way that maybe this is why?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, after our conversation we've had today, you know, I kind of sort of made me realise that it's probably important that I do take that step and sort of, you know, have a conversation, whether or not I can sort of set it up in a closed door meeting so I can feel, you know, comfortable to talk about it and make sure that it's confidential. At least so initially, you know, just my manager, my boss, I guess, knows the situation. I think I'm guessing it's the right thing. I feel like it's what I need to do, it's the right thing to do. And like I said, I don't mean to make these mistakes. You know, obviously I'm just not thinking straight yet, and still coming to terms with, you know, not having Paul here and, you know, having that supporting partner in my life.
And one aspect of grief is, you are challenged mentally, physically and emotionally. So when you go back into the workforce, and especially when people aren't aware of the situation, they just assume that you're able to, you've had a few days off and you need to go back into work and, you know, everything's fine. So they expect you to still work at the same level as what you always have. But what happens with the body is, you know, you probably haven't slept correctly, you're either not sleeping enough or sleeping a lot, not eating as well, you know, body aches, vomiting, diarrhea, all those types of things. Have you been, you know, going through those types of things?
Yeah, just generally not feeling like a good health, you know, just really sluggish, just below par.
So it can affect us in many, many different ways, unexpected ways. So you can't expect yourself to be working at the same level as you were before Paul got sick. So it's up to you. You don't necessarily have to disclose, you know, Paul if you don't want to, but I don't know, it's maybe you can just simply say, look, I've suffered a great loss and this is why this is happening. They can either, you know, if they're going to offer you support, or I don't know, accept
I never
their
thought
mistakes.
about being able to do it in a concept of not having to tell them everything,
Yes.
just tell them the outline.
Yeah. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it is incredibly difficult, especially when no one really knows what's going on, and you sort of, do you feel like, what are some of the other feelings, like, are you towards your work, are you enjoying it?
It's sort of, I guess I feel like I just sort of can't, like I've always enjoyed work, but I guess I just feel like I'm not maybe ready to be at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there ways that maybe you can go part-time or work short hours?
Yeah, maybe that's something that I can have in that conversation. Yeah, it's like secondly to, yeah, what they